everyone. So today we're going to be doing another recipe from the Nancy Drew cookbook, and today we are going to be doing a recipe based on the fourth book in the series called Mystery at Lilac Inn. So let's get into the recipe to make the Lilac Inn consomme. Alright, so the next recipe we are going to be doing is based off book number 4, The Mystery at Lilac Inn, and this recipe is called Lilac Inn Consomme. Alright, so the ingredients this recipe calls for is 2 carrots. Now I went with baby carrots because otherwise I was going to have to buy a bundle of like 10 carrots at Aldi and I didn't need that many carrots. So I went with a bag of baby carrots and we'll work with that. It also calls for 2 small onions. I only had 1 large one, so we're going to do with that today. Half a cup of chopped parsley. I have fresh parsley here. We're going to chop this up in a little bit. Half a cup of chopped celery. I have a few celery stalks here. Again, we're going to chop those up in a little bit. Salt and pepper, and 2 cans of beef or chicken consomme or bouillon. So I went with Campbell's beef consomme. Alright, so the first step says to wash and peel the carrots. I've already washed these and dried them. It says to cut off the ends. Since these are baby carrots, we're going to skip that. And then it says to grate them into a bowl. Now I'm going to use my little grating tool here, and we're just going to start working on these baby carrots. This might take me a little bit, so we're gonna come back in just a few minutes. That took a little bit longer than I was expecting, but I have my grated carrot here. I was just kind of guesstimating about how much 2 carrots would yield, so we're just gonna go with this, and that's fine because my hands are tired of grating, and we still have to do our onion. So now the instructions say to peel and grate the onion and then add them to the carrot. So we're gonna go back to the good old grater. Okay, I don't really like doing the grating for the onion, so I am just going to dice these up, and we're gonna go with that. Okay, I've kind of diced these up as good as I can get. Now it kind of looks like a lot of onion, so I think I'm just gonna hang off and not use the rest of this onion because I just feel like it's gonna be a little onion heavy. So we're going to go with this amount here. All right, so we're gonna skip around a little bit. Instead, I'm going to do the celery next, and I'm just gonna chop this up into fine little dices, and then we'll come back and pick up the rest in order. Not gonna lie, I'm not really that big of a fan of celery. So for me, I'm going to try to cut this up as small as I can get it, so it hopefully is a little less offensive to me. Alright, the recipe calls for about half a cup. This looks like it is going to get pretty close to that. Alright, we're just a little short, but I'm going with that because I'm not much of a celery fan to begin with. Alright, so next up, going a little bit back into the instructions, it says to wash the parsley and cut off the stems. So I have already washed it. I'm just going to peel the leaves from the stems, and then we're going to chop this up. Alright, and again we need about half a cup of parsley, so I am going to just finely snip this with my kitchen scissors. Alright, and there is our chopped parsley. So now we're going to need a saucepan here. This is one I am going to be using. So the recipe now says to add the consomme to the saucepan, and as per the instructions on the can here, we're going to add 1 can of the consomme plus 1 can of water. Alright, now here goes in the 1 can of water. And now we're going to repeat with the second can. Alright, and the second can of water. So now we just need to add the vegetables to this, and then we'll take it over to the stove. Alright, so in goes the onion. Next, the carrot. Next, the dreaded celery. All right, and now finally the parsley. Now it says to season with salt and pepper. It doesn't say how much, so we're just going to go with it. It is a pretty large batch of soup, so I'm gonna go a little on the conservative side, and we can always add more later. Plus, there's no telling how much sodium is already in here from the Consommé can. All right, now we're gonna take this over to the stove top. It says bring the mixture to a boil, turn the heat low, and cook for 20 minutes. All right, guys, we are ready to try it. I have my little bowl of consommé here. I'm a little nervous. I'm not a very big fan of celery, so it's gonna be interesting to see what this is like, but let's go ahead and try a little taste. This is actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Not gonna lie, I don't love soups a whole lot, and especially don't love celery, but this actually isn't that bad. I think I might have gone just a little heavy on the pepper. Overall, that actually wasn't as bad as I thought, and the celery, with it being cooked in there and letting it simmer for about 20 minutes, it makes all the vegetables really soft and tender and kind of meld together a little bit better, so I actually didn't mind the celery so much in that one. Overall, that recipe was a little bit surprising, so as far as I would rank that, as far as like flavor, I would probably give it maybe like a B-. It's just kind of not something I would typically go for. I feel like maybe it would be a little bit better suited for like fall or winter time. It's just kind of got that like warm coziness of like a soup vibe, but like right now with it being like summer, it's just kind of like not really my vibe, but overall the flavor is okay. But I will have to say, as far as like the recipe goes, really the canned consommé is like doing all the heavy lifting. Now really all I ended up doing was just chopping the veggies, which was like 95% of the recipe. So I feel like the recipe itself isn't that much of a recipe because you're really just using the pre-made consommé can of soup and then just chopping up the veggies and throwing them in. So as far as the recipe goes, I would probably rank it like a C-, just because you're really not doing anything other than just chopping vegetables. But in the end, did the recipe produce a semi-palatable dish? I would say it definitely did. Just, I'm not really a soup person, but if you are, this might be a fun one to try out. When I first read the recipe, I was just like, carrot, celery, parsley, onion. I love onion. So I just kind of really didn't know what to expect from it, but I'd have to say I'm actually a little bit pleasantly surprised. I think though, overall, taking into consideration the recipe and the product that it produced, I would probably rank this one like a middle of the road C recipe. Just it's not my favorite, kind of personal preference. All right, guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Links are below. And until my next video, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.